Hi everyone, welcome back. Jake here with another Pokemon Challenge video. I had a lot of fun making my first challenge video. There was a lot of growing pains since I had never edited a frame of video in my life before that, but I'm slowly learning, so let's try another one. This new challenge that I attempted was Pokemon Soul Silver using only one Furret. I chose this one for a few reasons. I love Pokemon Soul Silver. See, I've been playing Pokemon games since they came out, but right about my junior year in high school, I really almost stopped playing the games altogether. I really got busy with other things, as one does towards the end of high school and beyond, and I really didn't find as much time for video games in general. A few years later, my then girlfriend, now wife, bought me a Nintendo DS system with Pokemon Black and White when she learned that I was a Pokemon fan. I didn't take to those games right away since those games were very different from what I was used to, but then we picked up Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. These nostalgic remakes really are responsible for revitalizing my love for these games, forever cementing my attachment to the franchise. So you could say that this game is like my Pokemon Renaissance. Another reason why I chose this challenge is I love Furret. It's adorable. Also, I chose it because I wanted a more simple challenge. I figured that would be nice after a more hardcore one last time. Let's go over the rules. Only Furret in battle. I'll use other Pokemon for 8 gems, but I can't use any of them in battle. If Furret faints, that's equal to a blackout. No items in battle except for Pokeballs to capture wild Pokemon. I will allow held items in this run since many major opponents hold items as well, so I think it's fair. I also want to try and beat Red, and he's largely regarded as one of, if not the hardest final boss of any Pokemon game, and I may actually need held items to win. Healing items are going to be allowed before and after battles, and this includes in between Elite Four members. I'm also going to beat the Elite Four in sequence. If I lose to any of them, I have to start over. This includes the champion this time, so no saving in between Elite Four members. No speed up. Honestly, I like playing these games at a more casual pace, plus I'm prone to making mistakes at 2 to 8 times normal speed, which is infuriating. No cheats or exploits. This is a very open-ended statement and does leave a lot to interpretation. If anything comes up, I'll mention it in the video. I guess you could say the only cheat I would be using is using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to change one of the starters into Sentret. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as playing on a regular DS system. And so with all that said, dreams, adventures, let's play Pokemon. Alright, see you later, Professor Oak. So the first thing I do is I visit my neighbor Lyra. Do you know her Marill says, and I quote, Quiruraroon? Quiruraroon? Interesting. Anyway, after getting pushed by Shoves McGee over here, I head over to the lab to pick our starter. I put Sentret in place of Chikorita since I felt that Typhlosion would be the toughest opponent. I don't know if it really matters though, the rival in this game isn't all that threatening. I name her Hammy. Let me explain. I was gonna name it Stoffel. I saw this awesome documentary with a honey badger named Stoffel. Look it up, it's pretty amazing. When I realized that this Sentret was a girl, I named her Hammy, who is Stoffel's girlfriend. I named them after a honey badger because Furret is like a honey badger, right? Well, not really, but I really like the documentary, so Hammy it is. Hammy has a mild nature. It's not the worst nature, I guess, but it's definitely not good. Boosted special attack and lowered defense. Furret is definitely more of a physical attacker, and it's already really frail, so lowered defense might not be good. I'm just gonna go with it though. This does mean that I'm going to be selective on what wild Pokemon I will train against in order to get the best effort values possible. Look, I even made a chart. So I get the Pokedex, and then I get a frantic call from Professor Elm. I'm really not sure what he wants me to do about it, but I gotta get back now. I fight the rival along the way, and I name him Geo Jr. Geo is short for Giovanni, since canonically he is Giovanni's son. Then I head to Violet City and start clearing out the Sprout Tower. They give good experience, and Bellsprouts provide attack EVs. I'm trying to max out Hammy's attack stat. So I clear out the tower, and then I go to take on Faulkner. We lose. It was fairly close, so I decided to grind just a little bit to get Hammy up to level 15. Now it can evolve into Furret. The real reason why I chose this run. I can watch Furret walk. Once we do that, Faulkner's a cakewalk. We beat him handily and get the Zephyr badge. So I get to Azalea and clear out the riffraff from Slowpoke Well, and I decide to take on Bugsy. He was pretty easy. His Scyther spent too much time setting up and we were able to take it down without taking too much damage. The 2 cocoons were simple. 2 badges down. Next is the rival. I thought it would actually be really easy since we're pretty over leveled at this point. I need to use Foresight though to hit the Ghastly, and it has Curse. He uses that and we do lose eventually. It was really close. I'll give it another attempt trying to use Fury Swipe instead. Hopefully I'll get some good rolls and thus take less curse damage. It beats grinding at this point in the game. The second attempt, and for some reason Junior over here uses Spite instead of Curse. We one-shot him on the following turn and the rest was simple. We can move on without grinding levels or attempts. I make it through Ilex Forest. Elix Forest? Either way, I make it through that forest and along the way I teach Hammy Headbutt. This is a big upgrade from what we have. I feel confident enough to take on Whitney. She was pretty easy. Other than her Miltank healing up a couple times, she went down with little difficulty. She always gave me trouble as a kid. I should have just used a Furret. So I've been keeping track of every Pokemon I've battled to this point, and according to my EV chart, I'm getting a lot of wasted EVs and things that I'm really not going to be using, like speed. I decided to grind out my EV training to ensure I get the maxed attack stat. I decided to do this on Route 29 since there's a 40% chance to encounter Sentret. That's fairly common, and they give out attack effort values. This will take a while, but I want to ensure the highest attack possible, and it's better to get it done early so I don't have to worry about it later. While doing this, I encountered a shiny Pidgey. I was gonna run from it since I can't use it in battle anyway, and I thought that'd be hilarious, but I do need a Pokemon to fly with, so let's fly in style. So I finished my EV training for Hammy's attack stat. I really don't care too much about the rest of the stats, they can spread out randomly. These type of stat gains are an indication that I am properly EV training. There is no way a Furret would gain that much attack on one level unless I was specifically targeting it in training. This whole grind got us past level 30 and it took about 2 to 3 hours. I felt it was worth the time investment. So I get to Ecruteak City and I beat the Rocket Grunt to get Surf from the old man at the theater. I decide to teach it to Hammy. I know that it's not going to be overly powerful since she's a clear physical attacker, but it is one move that can hit Morty's ghost Pokemon. Now I know that Foresight would allow me to hit them, but that wastes 1 turn for each of his Pokemon. Since 3 out of 4 of his team members have Curse, wasting a move like that could cause me to lose tons of HP when I inevitably get cursed. Side note, I forgot that I could have gotten Shadow Claw on Route 42 this early. I knew it was on Route 42, but for some reason I thought I needed Surf to get it. Nope, it's just chilling right here. Whoops. I just hope that he has some poor move choices so that I can still win even if I don't one-shot most of his team, which I probably won't. If I lose, I just need to grind a little bit to level 36 when she can learn Sucker Punch, and that would guarantee victory. Since I haven't even made it to Olivine yet, there are more than enough trainers available to get this done, but I decide to battle him once while I'm here to see how I fare. I start out by one-shotting the Ghastly. My Surf then takes out about 80% of Haunter's HP. He misses a Hypnosis instead of using Curse. That was a big mistake. Morty then uses a Hyper Potion, and then I hit it with another Surf. I outspeed it for the last shot, and I hit him with another Surf before he can even try another attack. He then sends out his ace Gengar. We outspeed it and land a Surf. It takes about 40% of his health. He then uses a useless Mean Look. Hammy ain't going anywhere, buddy. My next Surf crits him and finishes off the Gengar. Oh, that was a nice crit. The next Haunter takes Surf damage and then finishes himself off with a Curse. Well, this was a gym I was a little worried about. Turns out, it was very easy. I'm beginning to think that this challenge is not going to be hard at all until I reach the Elite Four. So after I clear out the lighthouse in Olivine, I hop on Hammy's back and travel across the sea to Cyanwood to get the medicine for poor sick Amphi. I pick up the medicine and decide to take on Chuck while I'm here. Headbutt almost one-shots his Primeape. Chuck uses a Hyper Potion. I then take him out over the next 2 turns as he just tries to use Focus Punch. Poliwrath also tries to get off a Focus Punch, and my first Headbutt takes out not quite half of his health. He starts tightening his focus again, and our next Headbutt hits critically, finishing him off. That was very easy. I've always thought Chuck was pretty easy though. I also thought it was weird they only gave him 2 Pokemon. They could have easily given him 4. They gave Morty 4 Pokemon, and there's way more fighting types available in these games than Ghosts. If you're wondering why I'm still using Headbutt instead of Return, I am aware that I can get it at the Goldenrod department store. But that's only on Sundays, and I started this challenge on a Monday. So it's going to be a few days before I can get it. Maybe not even till after the Elite Four. Now I know I can just advance the system clock to make it Sunday so that I can have access to Return sooner. This is one of those interpretations though I think would qualify as an exploit, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, let's get that medicine to Amphi. Now that that's done and Amphi is feeling better, I can go take on Jasmine while I'm here in Olivine. It shouldn't be too tough with Surf and Dig. Yep, it was easy. The 2 Magnemites get one-shot by Dig, and Steelix loses about 3/4 of his health to a Surf. It recovers some health with a berry and then sets up a Sandstorm. We use Surf once more to finish the ace. Wow, this has been a pretty crazy gym rush. I just beat 3 gyms in less than 2 hours, and that's with fighting most trainers on the routes as well. I head to Mahogany and I stop off at the Lake of Rage to capture my second shiny HM Mule. I thought it would be a cool flex to roll up on trainers with 2 shiny pack mules. After tag teaming Team Rocket with Lance at their Mahogany hideout, I head over to the Mahogany gym to take on Price. I took out all the trainers in his gym and didn't even bother healing before challenging Price. He is usually never an issue. I start off with a one-shot of Seal with Headbutt. He then sends out his ace Piloswine, and I misclick Headbutt instead of the super effective Surf. It does more damage than I expected though, taking him below half health and triggering his Citrus Berry, bringing him back to about 3/4 health. He then misses his Blizzard. On the next round we finish him off with a critical Surf before he can get off another attack. Yet another ace down to a crit. I'm not really sure if that one mattered though, it would have been really close to finishing him off without it. Dugong comes out last, and we take out about 2/3 of his health with a Headbutt. He hits a weak Aurora Beam, and we finish him off with another Headbutt. Yet another easy battle, and another badge obtained. I knew this challenge was going to be easier than the last one, but it's going way smoother than I thought. We already have 7 badges and only about 10 hours of gameplay, and that includes about 2 or 3 hours of just EV training. Next up is the Radio Tower. Team Rocket has taken it over, and apparently it is my responsibility to address the issue. I start clearing out all the rockets in Radio Tower and I make it to Petrol. I figure he was going to be pretty easy since he has 5 coughing and a wheezing. The first coughing was no trouble at all, even though it took 2 hits. Next up was his wheezing, and I used Surf knowing that it was going to be a 2-hit KO anyway. It brings him to just below half health. Okay, so my next Headbutt should... Wait. Wheezing has Explosion. No. Honestly, I thought that was going to KO Hammy. She hangs on with red health. That was close. Fortunately, his first coughing must have been the most defensive of the bunch, since the rest were able to be beaten with 1 Headbutt each. That was close. This is when I had the sudden realization that Koga might actually be a problem. His Fortress is part steel and really tanky, and it has the move Explosion. Not to mention, much of his team can poison me, which is always tough in a solo Pokemon run. Guess we'll have to see. I then head to the Catacombs and face off against Junior. I was unable to take out his Golbat in one shot. This is a problem since he confuses me and it causes me to hit myself, making me unable to finish off Magnemite before he paralyzed me. I kept missing moves to paralysis and got whittled down to low health before I finally got off a Surf. Fortunately, the rest of the battle went fairly well as I wasn't prevented from attacking again. His Quilava took me down to very low health, but we hung on, and we were able to finish him off and the rest of his team. Shellbell probably saved us there. That is an awesome item to have access to at such an early point in the game, and we've had it for most of the run. It has not only saved me on a couple of big battles, but it's also helped me out with not having to heal in between battles, even if I do take damage, thus saving me from using items before reaching a Pokemon Center. As I'm clearing out Team Rocket, Hammy grows to level 50. Since my EVs are most likely all set up by now, it's safe to say our stats are going to be roughly double what we see here, if and when we do reach level 100. Time will tell if we need to be that over-leveled for Red, but it's good info to have for now. I finished clearing out Team Rocket. Defeating Archer was the last step. They were all really easy, so now it's time to head through the ice path to Blackthorn. So I took on Clair twice. I was never really close to beating her though. It looks like we have our first challenge since Azalea Town. So unlike Generation 2 Clair, Generation 4 Clair leads with a Gyarados, and that has the Intimidate ability. This lowers our attack one stage for the duration of the battle. Not only do we take decent damage from Gyarados due to not being able to finish her quickly, more importantly, it prevents us from one-shotting the Dragonair. This Dragonair will paralyze us every time with Thunder Wave, and this seals our fate. Not having the speed advantage against Kingdra makes the battle against the Seahorse Dragon not even close. So I can either power level a bit, which would make the difference for sure, just depends on how many levels. Or, I have a couple other options of changing up our moves. We have access to move to leaders and tutors now, plus it's almost Sunday, which will open up the return TM for us, which could be all the difference that we need. If we can just find a way to consistently one-shot the Dragonair, this battle shouldn't be too bad. So I just decided to wait until Sunday until the lady appeared at the Goldenrod department store. I get the return TM, teach it to Hammy after deleting Surf, and I retry Clair. This was really close. I lost a couple of times because I just barely am unable to one-shot the Dragonair. I could grind out a couple of levels, that should be enough stat increases to knock out the Dragonair with one return, but I decided to maybe change up my held item. I decided to grab the Silk Scarf from the Goldenrod Game Corner. In this generation, they removed slot machines, since having gambling in the games would have required them to change the rating, and replaced it with the Voltorb Flip minigame. When I played Soul Silver for the first time, this aggravated me since I never gambled in the previous games and would just buy the required coins to exchange for the rare items. This was vastly inefficient since the game coins were outrageously priced and it usually meant going broke for just one of the items. They implemented this minigame and took out the coins to purchase so that there's nothing to wager. This means that you can't simply buy the amount of coins that you want and you actually have to play the game in order to gain the prize money. However, the Voltorb Flip game is actually kind of fun to play. It requires more skill and practice, but you can get better at it. I've seen YouTubers like Johnstone cover this in videos in the past. There are tons of tutorials out there on how to get better at this. The item I was originally shooting for was the Silk Scarf. In this generation, a Silk Scarf will boost our normal type moves 20%. This cost 1,000 game coins. I am not at all an expert at this, so it took me about 20 minutes, but I was able to get just over 1,200 coins. So I go over to exchange 1,000 of them for the Silk Scarf, and I see another tempting item available for the same cost. A metronome. If you don't know, the held item metronome in this generation gives a 10% boost to any move that is used consecutively by its holder, up to a 100% boost. This means that if I'm going to be using the same move for the whole battle, this can really power it up. So I exchanged my coins for this instead. The Silk Scarf would have been sufficient, but this could prove more useful against the Kingdra and certainly more valuable later in the game. Plus, it's an interesting item that isn't used all that often, so I thought it would be more fun to use. So I return to Blackthorn and face off against Clair again. Her Gyarados lowers our attack with Intimidate as usual. We hit it with a return, we take 40 HP of damage from a Dragon Rage, and our next return finishes the Gyarados. Next up is that pesky Dragonair. I use return again and now it's powered up to 120%, so it finishes the Dragonair in one hit. The Ace Kingdra is out and we use a 130% powered up return to take it to about 3/4 of health. It recovers with a berry, but it misses its Hydro Pump, so we finish it with another return. The last Dragonair is out and our return is powered up to 150% of its normal strength, so obviously we outspeed it and finish it with one hit. Just as I thought, that made it way easier. I'm glad I was able to change up my strategy instead of just increasing my level. That made it a little more fun. This is really overpowered. With Maxed Friendship, which we have with Hammy, return has a base power of 102. With the same type attack bonus, this makes an effective 153 base power move. This means that while holding the metronome, the final return that was dealt in this battle was effectively up to a 229 base power move. This is stronger than a Wheezing, Electrode, or Golem self-destruct. One more turn, it would have been even stronger than the more powerful Explosion. This item could really come in handy later. Claire is a sore loser, so I have to go to the Dragon's Den and talk to these old guys to convince her that I am indeed a worthy trainer. After this, we get our last Johto badge and head to Ekritik. So now as part of the story, I have to take on the Kimono Girls in order. I should have switched out the held item back to the Shell Bell, but we still ended up pulling out the victory. So now we can head to the Whirl Islands. I make my way through the Whirl Islands to get to Lugia, the box art legendary, and the epic showdown commences. Master Ball. Box. With that all done, I head east of New Barktown to journey into Kanto for the first time. I make it through Route 27 and 26, and get through Victory Road very easily. There, I take on the rival Junior, and he was a one-shot sweep. Really, really easy. So now we have made it all the way to the Elite Four. I decided to take them on right away. How would we fare? First up is Will. He was a one-shot sweep. When we're holding a metronome, Shadow Claw decimates his entire team, one by one. I don't even know why he's in the Elite Four to begin with. It should just be Sabrina, and he should replace her at the Saffron City gym. But it's nice to know we have someone to train against if we need to. Koga was a loss. Fortress was indeed a problem. After one-shotting his area dose, his Fortress comes out and starts off by using Protect. This stinks. Since I'm holding metronome, it resets my return. He takes about 40% of damage on his next turn and lands a Swift. I hit him again, not finishing him off, and yep, there it is. He blew up. It hits me critically, so that is a loss. Let's try again with some more creative move choices. So again, Will was an easy sweep. Now Koga, I decided to change up my strategy. I figured that Fortress's special defense is less than half of its physical defense, so I'll try using Hyper Voice instead. I know that our special attack is pretty bad too, but maybe it's enough to make a difference. So I start using Hyper Voice on Area Dose so that it can start building on Metronome. It doesn't take him out in one hit though. He stupidly uses a spiderweb, making it so that Hammy can't escape. Didn't he realize that I only brought one Pokemon into this battle? The next Hyper Voice finishes it off and Fortress is out. I hit it with a Hyper Voice and honestly, I think it did worse than Return. He lands a critical Swift as we use a Hyper Voice, bringing it down to low HP. Koga uses a full restore and our next Hyper Voice does maybe 40%. The next one crits and finishes him off. Hyper Voice wasn't doing all that well, so when he sends out Muck, I elect to use Return instead. This crits and knocks him out. I am positive that that crit was necessary. I then use Return on his Crobat. It does about 90% of his health and he recovers a little bit from a Citrus Berry. He then uses a Double Team. My next Return hits anyway, finishing off the Crobat. Venomoth is out and he's an easy one-shot, so Koga's defeated. That was fortunate though, Hyper Voice doesn't seem to be a very reliable strategy. Now we move on to Bruno. I switch my held item to a Shell Bell and initiate the battle. Hitmontop and Hitmonlee both get one shot by my return. Machamp though, hangs on. He lands a massive cross chop, nearly taking us out. We're in rough shape. The next return finishes him off, but here comes Onix. I use Dig and it does only about 80% of his health. Onix then lands an Earthquake, finishing us. Okay, so I shouldn't be using Dig against Onix. Earthquake can hit us while we're underground. I think I'll have Hammy hold Metronome again against Bruno to ensure the knockout of Machamp. I decided not to reset since I gained a couple of levels and I didn't really use many healing items anyway. I'm now at level 63 when I start against Will. Once again, he was really easy, nothing to mention. When I go against Koga, I decided to just hold a Metronome and spam Return to outmuscle him. Ariados goes down in one hit. I take out 40% of Fortress's health and he hits with a Swift. He then uses Protect the next turn, resetting my Metronome. I land Return again, bringing him down to low HP, and he uses another Swift. Koga then uses a full restore as I select Return, but I get another critical hit. Man, it seems like I am getting a ton of crits in this run. This finishes the only threat in Fortress, and the rest of his team is outsped in one shot. Bruno Rematch. I keep the Metronome this time and just start spamming Return again. Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, and Machamp all go down in one return. I use my powered up Return on Onix, it crits, taking him to low HP. Bruno uses a full restore, but Onix falls in 2 more hits before he can respond. Hitmonchan gets easily one shot and Bruno is down. Next up is Karen. I decided to keep Metronome for this battle. First up is Umbreon. I use Return and take it down to about a quarter of its health. He hits a weak feint attack. She neglects to heal, so Umbreon is down on the next turn. She then sends out Gengar. This is something I should have seen coming. She is a ghost type and thus can't be hit by Return. This will reset my Metronome every time. I should have just held a Shell Bell. I used Shadow Claw and it's strong enough for a one-shot. Houndoom is out next and I select Dig. It's strong enough to finish him off in one hit as well. Violet Plume goes down in one return, and Murkrow is really frail, so it goes down in one shot as well. Overall, Karen is really easy. I have great type coverage against her. If I have to face her again, I'll just use a Shell Bell since Metronome did absolutely nothing in that battle. So that's it. I beat the Elite Four. But it's not over yet. I have to face off against the champion Lance. If I lose, I need to start all over. I decided for this battle to hang on to the Metronome. He leads with Gyarados, just like Clair, and our attack is down for the whole battle. My first return takes away just over half. He hits a waterfall, taking about 1/4 of our health. I knock him out on the next turn. Next up is the level 50 Dragonite. My first return crits, taking him out in one shot. I have no idea what's going on, but it seems like I am critically hitting way more than I have any right to. I'll take it though. Next up is one of the level 49 Dragonites. My return takes about 2/3 of his health, and he paralyzes me on his first turn. Now I can lose turns to paralysis, and I no longer have the speed advantage. He then uses a Hyper Beam, taking me down to about 1/4 of my health, and my next return finishes him off. Next up is his last Dragonite. His first Blizzard misses, and we land another powered up return, but it only does about 80% of his health, and the next Blizzard hits, finishing us off. Man, that's too bad. As good as that run was against the Elite Four, we really had no chance against Lance. I need to come up with a different strategy. I could try Attract, but I really only want to use that as a last resort. I could just keep grinding out attempts against the Elite Four until my level is high enough to overpower him, or the RNG works in our favor. I don't really feel like doing that either though. I could learn Blizzard, and use that to defeat the 3 Dragonite and see where that takes us. It's not an ideal scenario since Blizzard's accuracy is awful, but I think it's worth a shot. Let's do that. By the way, why can Furret learn Blizzard? I always thought it was weird that Pokemon like Furret and Rattata can learn moves like Blizzard and Thunder. Anyway, I fly back to Goldenrod and pick up the TM for Blizzard at the department store. I could play the Voltorb flip game again to try and get enough coins for Ice Beam, which is my preferred move since it's more accurate, but that will take a while and I'm not even sure if it would be powerful enough anyway. I decide to get through the Elite Four first, then teach Blizzard to Hammy just before the Lance fight. I do this just in case if this doesn't work, I can reset and decide on a different moveset. Okay, lightning round. Will with Metronome again was easy. Koga with Metronome took more time than Will, with Fortress stalling us out and all, but he did go down without exploding, so the rest of his team was simple. On to Bruno. Bruno with Metronome was nearly a one-shot sweep. The only one that gave us trouble was Onyx, but he ended up going down on 3 returns, healing once in between, and he is a pretty weak attacker. Karen was a borderline sweep as well. The only one that I didn't one-shot was her lead, Umbreon. So after that, I open up the menu and teach Hammy Blizzard. Upon returning to the overworld, my screen blacks out. This has happened to me a couple times in this playthrough, and it hasn't been a problem since I can still save, and the problem is fixed once I restart the game. In this instance, however, per the rules, I'm not allowed to save in between Elite Four members. So I have to reset and start the Elite Four all over again. Guess I can literally call this a blackout. So, I reset the game and start the Elite Four all over again. I have a very consistent strategy for them now though, so it really shouldn't be a problem. It's only going to cost me about 15-20 minutes to get back to Lance again. This time though, I teach Blizzard to Hammy before challenging them, since I don't want to go through that again. I use the same tactics that I used before against the Elite Four, and it pretty much ends up the same way. So now we are ready to take on Lance again, this time armed with Blizzard. I make sure to equip the Shell Bell, and it's time for a rematch. Gyarados goes the same way. He's out, lowers our attack, we hit with a return, he hits with a waterfall, we finish him with another return. Now it's time for the level 50 Dragonite. My first Blizzard misses, but he uses Safeguard. Safeguard is useless for him since I have no status moves, so that's a freebie. My next Blizzard misses again, and he lands a powerful Outrage, taking us down to a quarter of our health. My next Blizzard hits, and it is strong enough to finish him in one shot. That's very good to know. We are 1 for 3 on Blizzards now, and I need my next 2 to hit. The next Dragonite is out, and we miss Blizzard again. I hate this move. He finishes us with a Dragon Rush. I reset to before the Elite Four, and we start again. Blizzard was terribly inaccurate for us there. But I do feel that this strategy is possible, since while it's inaccurate, it is at least powerful enough to one-shot the highest level Dragonite. Let's try again and hope for better rolls on this frustrating attack. Okay, so, lightning round again. Will was a one-shot sweep. You know, it was annoying to go through all this again, but at least I have a consistent method to beat the Elite Four, and Fortress blew up. We're down to 14 HP with no Shell Bell. Well, at least we outspeed and one-shot the rest of his team, so we should be fine. Muck goes down, and next is the Crobat, and right, he has Quick Attack. That was the first time that Fortress blew up since our first attempt. Losing to Koga is very possible. Let's try again. Okay, so once again, Will was easy. Let's just skip to Koga. Actually, forget Koga. Let's just skip to Fortress. This time we take him down to low HP, he heals him, then we hit him twice, taking him down to probably 1 HP, and this time he uses Swift and does not go boom. So we win. The rest of the Elite Four was easy, except for Umbreon using Double Team 3 times and confusing us, really stalling out the battle. But we were able to fight through it and take down the Umbreon, and the rest of our team was easy, so we're back at Lance. Gyarados follows the script and intimidates us per usual, hits a waterfall sandwiched in between 2 of our returns, and we finish him off. Next up is the level 50 Dragonite. Come on, Blizzard, hit, come on. Yes! Our first Blizzard lands, taking out the first Dragonite. We heal a little bit off of Shell Bell, and Dragonite number 2 is out. We of course select Blizzard again, and it hits, taking out Dragonite number 2. Here comes Dragonite number 3. Can we make it 3 for 3? You bet. That's all 3 Dragonites down. Now it's time for Charizard. I use Return, taking out nearly 3/4 of his health. He hits a pretty strong Air Slash. Lance doesn't heal though, and we take out the Charizard. One left, it's Aerodactyl. This is one I was worried about since he resists our strongest move. I decided to use Blizzard, and it hits again. I thought it might be enough to one-shot the Aerodactyl, but he hangs on by a thread. He hits a pretty strong Rock Slide, and then Lance heals him. I hit Return, and it's not strong enough to take him out in 2 turns. I'm at 50% health now, and not in range of knocking him out, unless I get a crit. I've only used 4 Blizzards in this battle, but due to Aerodactyl's pressure ability, my last one consumed 2 PP instead of 1. I decided it's a 2-hit range anyway, why not use the high critical hit ratio move, Shadow Claw. What an amazing finish. And with that, we are the champions. The Elite Four was right about as difficult as I expected. The rest of Johto, though, was ridiculously easy. If you're soloing this with one Pokemon, the level curve is so low and you tend to be over-leveled for pretty much the entire run. It took me 15 hours and 27 minutes of gameplay to beat the Elite Four. Even with the resets, which there weren't that many, it still only took about 16.5 hours of play. This challenge isn't over yet though. Most of Kanto will be a breeze, but there are 2 trainers looming that are beckoning our challenge. Let's do this. I had no problem at all breezing through Kanto. In a Johto playthrough, if you can defeat the Elite Four, then the Kanto gym leaders should be pretty easy. The first real obstacle in most cases is the final gym leader in Viridian City, Blue. His team is actually pretty underleveled. Both Exeggutor and Machamp go down in one hit. His Arcanine is able to survive the first move since he lowered our attack with Intimidate, and because of this we can't one-shot him. His Flare Blitz does a decent chunk of HP, and Recoil causes him to dip to low health. After Blue heals him up with a full restore, we were able to finish him off with 2 more hits. Rhydon goes down to 1 Water Pulse, and now Gyarados is out. He lowers our attack another stage with Intimidate. Return still does 2/3 of his health, and after taking a weak Waterfall, we're able to finish him off with another return. Last up is Pidgeot, and at level 60, this is actually his highest level Pokemon. My return takes out about half, and he recovers some with a berry. He then mirror moves my return, and our next move brings him down to low HP. After hitting another return of his own, he uses a full restore. But we have the speed advantage, so our next 2 attacks finish him off with little difficulty. He was quite easy. This was our first try. The next battle is going to be much tougher though, since Red has Pokemon 20 to 30 levels over Blue. This has to be the biggest level jump from one major battle to another in a main series Pokemon game. It's why he's considered by many as the hardest final boss. Let's just jump right to Red. I tried him at our current level. I figured it was a long shot since we're the same level as his Pikachu and the rest of his team is in the 80s, but I just wanted to see where we stand. His first Pokemon is Pikachu, and it has the static ability. So even though I can easily one-shot him, this physical contact can often leave me paralyzed. If this happens, I learned that this is basically a reset. It's way too steep a hill to climb if we have a status condition. He always follows up with Blastoise. Blastoise has the move Focus Blast. This is super effective and takes advantage of our low special defense. That move, coupled with the Hail, is often enough to take us out in 1 turn. He also has Blizzard. This move will not miss due to the Hailstorm. In fact, half of his team has this move. This causes many resets, so I tried changing up my moves. I'm really happy that Hammy is female. This means that I can use the move Attract on Red's entirely male team. And Attraction is a very strong affliction. It gives a 50% chance to have your opponent become immobilized for a turn. I got up to level 90 and had quite a few attempts. I only got past Blastoise a couple of times. I really need to be able to withstand his hits better. They just do too much damage to me. Even though I have leftovers, it gets neutralized by the hail damage, so I'm not recovering HP. I have enough rare candies to top off our level, but I want to see if I can do it at a lower level. I really don't want to resort to double team. Furret is fairly strong, so I think it should be possible without it. I use a fistful of rare candies to get to level 95. I'm able to get past Blastoise fairly consistently now, but Venusaur is now actually giving me the trouble. His Sludge Bomb does serious damage, and it has a chance to poison. He also has Sleep Powder. If we get statused by either one of these, it's too much to overcome. I'm sure if we had enough attempts, it's possible, but the odds are very slim. I tried another 10 times and only caught past the Venusaur once, only to instantly lose to Charizard. Okay, this is not quite enough. I decided to use the rest of our rare candies to get to level 100. This should make the odds more respectable. I decide on a moveset consisting of Return, Focus Punch, Attract, and Rain Dance. Let's see how that works. I lead off against Pikachu. I easily one-shot it with Return. If he paralyzes me, it's a reset, but he doesn't this time, so Blastoise is out. I start by using Attract on Blastoise. It works the first turn, immobilizing him. After some hail damage, I lay in a Return. It takes about 2/3 of his HP. He gets immobilized for the second turn in a row. That's huge, and I really need that to happen. My next return finishes him off, so we're going into the Venusaur showdown fully healthy. I of course use Attract right away. Venusaur is immobilized on the first turn once again. After taking about 3/4 of its health with a return, Venusaur finally breaks through the attraction and hits us with a Sleep Powder. That's tough. The only thing that's worse is being poisoned from a Sludge Bomb. If we are to recover from this, it really comes down to how soon we can wake up. The hail brings Venusaur into red HP, triggering a full restore from red. We sleep this turn and the next one, but Venusaur gets immobilized again. We wake up on the next turn and land a critical hit return. This is enough to finish off Venusaur. Charizard is out and we are still perfectly healthy. We hit Attract the first turn again, and Charizard yet again gets immobilized. Can you believe this? What a crazy battle! I used Rain Dance the next turn, not only to remove the hail from the field, but also to weaken Charizard's fire moves significantly. This worked out great with Charizard using Flare Blitz the next turn. This does very little damage, and we're actually able to start recovering HP with leftovers now that hail is gone. We land a return, dealing huge damage, leaving Charizard in the red. Charizard fights through the affection this turn, and red elects to use Air Slash since its power won't be weakened. This does quite a big chunk of health. Charizard hits really hard. That's only a 75 base power move. We recover a little with leftovers while red uses a full restore on Charizard. This is a useless gesture as it will effectively give me 2 turns in a row since Hammy is fast. My first return takes a big chunk of HP, and my second finishes him off. That allows us to recover more HP with leftovers, so we're back above half health for the Lapras fight. I use Attract again, and what do you know? Lapras loses its first turn to it. We hit with a return, and it takes out just over half health. Lapras then uses Blizzard. With hail gone from the field though, this has a 30% chance to miss. So, of course it does. What is this battle? We land our second return, taking out the Lapras. 1 to go, and it's the thick one, Snorlax. I land Attract the first turn, and what do you think? Is it going to immobilize him the first turn? Never in doubt. My next turn takes him below half health, and he misses the next turn, guess what? To Attraction. And that's it. We select return, and it finishes off the Snorlax. We did it. We win. That battle was insane. We had crazy RNG work in our favor there. 8 out of 10 turns of Attraction immobilized our opponents, with every one of their first turns being immobilized. That's insane. That is crazy odds. So it may seem like an unlikely outcome. This, however, was my 11th attempt at level 100, so it was by no means a sure thing. I had 10 attempts at level 88, 10 at level 90, 10 more at 95, and finally 11 at level 100, giving us a grand total of 41 attempts against red. If I had that kind of success with Attraction the first time I used it, I probably would have won back at level 88. But sometimes that's how these challenges go. You just need to try enough times until the RNG works in your favor. 41 attempts is overall not too bad. If you didn't know before, and if you didn't learn from this, Attraction is a very strong mechanic, and one that has bailed me out several times in the past. And it's really the only reason we had a chance against red. This playthrough was really fun. I love Furret, and it was nice to showcase its ability here. I knew this would be possible. This is not the most difficult challenge. Furret's stats are pretty decent. I was just glad I was able to beat red without resorting to double team. I'm not really sure what I want to do for my next challenge, but I have a few ideas. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, you know the deal. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. See you next time.